We've got an exciting show today with a panel of eyewitnesses from the Charlie Kirk assassination. I'm joined, of course, by Headline USA editor Ken Silva, and our first guest. We should be joined by a second guest later today, but we've got James with us. Ken, how are you today?
I'm doing well. It's good to be here.
And James, how you feeling?
It's good. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you, James. Now, people might have seen that you provided us. Actually, we're going to have a world exclusive premiere of your 8K footage, and that's going to be coming up. We should be joined by another guest momentarily. He's got the link and said he would be joining us, but he's in another time zone, so he might be a bit late. But I wanted to just recap some of what's been happening. Ken, last time you and I spoke, you had been reporting on some intrigue within the Charlie Kirk security team. Any news stories from Headline USA with regard to Charlie Kirk?
Actually, yes. Well, I could break my own little exclusive. It's not good news, but I was just denied more records from UVU yesterday. Specifically, I requested all the communications between the university and Charlie Kirk's security team, and they denied my request on the grounds that it's too broad, which is pretty ridiculous. I've made a number of requests for all of the surveillance footage, and I wasn't too hopeful for that, but this seems to be a pretty reasonable request to see the communications for how they were planning this event. So there's that. But actually, the reason I'm on this panel today, of course, I'm not a witness to the assassination. I'm in the Carolinas, but I got in touch with James Gaffney because he knows the guy who kind of had a bizarre reaction to Kirk's death. He stood up and pumped his fists and said USA. And I just published a story. It's at the top of my Twitter timeline. You just showed it. I actually interviewed him about his reaction, why he had that reaction, and all the death threats and kind of the negative backlash he's received from it. So thanks again, James, for putting me in touch. It seems like, I think James will admit too, that it was a very strange reaction. He pretty much said that he wanted to possibly distract a potential active shooter. And the reason he had a grin on his face is, it was just in the heat of the moment. It was just a bizarre reaction. And I would just say, people shouldn't judge when they haven't been in that kind of situation. And I did verify his identity, verify he's just some hairstylist in Utah County. So he's not part of the conspiracy. I've definitely confirmed that. And I am withholding his full name, which obviously James also knows, just, for his protection, because he has received a lot of legitimate death threats. And actually
Wow.
his place of business is in the same place where he lives because he's self-employed.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's quite a story, Ken. That's good that you reached out to the guy and spoke to him personally. And James, of course, you mentioned to me as well that he's a friend of yours. Obviously, we don't want to dox the guy. James, what do you, any input on this regarding your friend?
Yeah, I mean, I've been friends with him for over 23 years. Like, we are full MAGA. Like, he has no love for the Democrats other than with the fact that he doesn't believe in their policy, but he has no problem with the people in general, of course, right? Just like most people that are Republicans have no problem with the people being Democrats. As Democrats have problems with us, but just for being Republican. But I'll tell you, when I was there, he had no idea what had happened. Like, he was looking down, and so when we all went down, you'll see there's a photo of him down with me, and I'm looking up at him and I'm telling him what happened. And then as soon as he heard what happened, that's when he shot up.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that, that was his reaction.
I think as Ken said, it's difficult to really understand how you might react in a kind of stressful situation like this. I didn't really have too many feelings either way about this person. And of course, a momentary emotional reaction or even a lapse of judgment is certainly not a reason why a guy's life should be ruined. Death threats, and actually his hair does look very nice. So he's a hairstylist.
Yeah. But from the outside looking in, it makes sense for people to be upset about it. Like, outside looking in, it looks like someone celebrating. David even admits to such. It looks like that outside looking in. Like, he has some, he regrets having that kind of reaction on his face. Like, I can't explain that. All I can attest to is that he's a very good person, and he's nowhere close to anything related to the shooting at all.
Yeah, and so you guys are just old buddies. You went there to see Charlie Kirk. This horrible thing happens, and
Yes.
Now he's caught up in all this intrigue. Everybody's with the death threats. I don't understand why people are so hot on death threats. It's like, why can't you just say, oh, well, this guy's an idiot or whatever, and forget about
it? I can't justify the death threats, of course, but to be fair and somewhat, this hit people harder personally than I think any other assassination of our time. Like, this is, Charlie Kirk, he spoke boldly and truthfully and with so much love. Like, it's amazing some of the things I've seen where there's transgenders who have actually spoken to him and asked his opinion of what they should do because of their situation. And he spoke with so much love to these people. It's just, everyone saw what he did and what he represented, and the fact that he died like that. The reactions of a lot of people's reactions were immediate, and that's how they felt at that time. I'm sure a lot of them aren't feeling this, we need to kill this person anymore.
Yeah.
There's some, but a lot of those people, I'm sure, regret saying it.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've got even some people in the comments right now saying that they didn't care for Charlie Kirk's politics, but they feel bad for his family. People have said things about his wife. A lot of people make snap judgments. I don't know exactly what went on there, but I'll tell you, when Erica Kirk starts talking about their daughter, obviously the son can't speak, he's 1 or something like that, but I think it was J.D. Vance said he was on the phone with Erica and he could hear the daughter in the background saying, "Mommy, where's Daddy?" And for whatever reason, when I think about that, that's the saddest aspect to me. Right? A 3-year-old girl saying, "Where's Daddy?" And she doesn't understand it. And she'll have this vague memory. It's almost worse than the son, who will have no memory of the father. It's just such a horrible thing for somebody to have done. And now, the other matter, of course, and I know, Ken, you've been digging into this, the trial of this guy, Tyler Robinson, and
things like that before I actually reach my conclusion. So I think it's totally irresponsible, especially since guys like Posobiec, they've covered other cases like the Oklahoma City bombing where people initially get one group gets blamed and it turns out to be a government sting operation. We've seen these cases throughout history. So they should definitely know better.
Well, I think it's interesting that you point that out, particularly with regard to Jack Posobiec, that he's, blaming the person that perhaps later we'll find out when it's too late that he didn't do it. And it ties back to James's friend who's been ostracized from his community. Okay, he did what he did. Let's just call it a bad reaction, poor judgment, whatever you want to call it. I don't know that the guy deserves to be, villainized, certainly not death threatened or certainly not harmed. And it's got to have harmed his business. He's going to be suffering some fallout. But again, if he's innocent of any actual wrongdoing other than a poor reaction, to have this kind of backlash, it's really something else, huh?
Yeah, and I'll just give you another example that's related to this case is 2 days later, after Tyler Robinson was apprehended, you had media vans outside of his family's house while the FBI was searching it, and the neighborhood had to be evacuated because of scares about explosives. And it turned out that somebody had actually planted a dud bomb underneath a Fox News van in Salt Lake City, and so when they found that, they immediately spread the word to the media that was in Tyler Robinson's neighborhood, and they evacuated it because they were worried about other bombs being planted. Well, the day later, two Pakistani nationals were arrested and accused of planting that bomb under the Fox News van. And everybody jumped to conclusions on Twitter saying, oh, this is obviously related. This is obviously a radical Islamic terror plot. Well, those
Obviously.
those Pakistani guys were just
Yeah.
cleared. We don't know exactly why they were accused in the first place. I guess the FBI did search their home and find some dynamite in their apartment, so they're still facing charges. But they were actually specifically, the judge released him, and he's like, why were these guys accused of planting the bomb under the van? When in fact, it's a guy named Christopher Proctor who is actually charged, and he faces the actual charges for planting the bomb. So there was a real mix up in the beginning. And, that's just one of the many examples of why we need to approach these cases with kind of a dispassionate view and just search for the evidence instead of already trying to push narratives.
Absolutely, Ken. And it's possible that our friend Ryne got the time zones confused because he's also in Utah. And I hope he joins us because I definitely wanted to speak to him about that. The jumping to conclusions. He also was contacted by a bunch of people who, you said the FBI found dynamite at these guys' houses. There's no way the FBI would put dynamite at somebody's house and they'd be like, oh, look what we found. Sometimes these things happen. And of course, Jack Posobiec, people saw my encounter with Jack Posobiec. Many people saw it outside of Madison Square Garden. And Jack Posobiec yesterday reposted Ryne's post, which got a lot of attention. And he was asking me some questions about Jack Posobiec. And I told him, it's not always necessarily a good thing when you get this kind of attention from somebody like that, because just as we're hearing from James, maybe some people are being intimidated by some of this social media attention. Right, James?
Yes. I can't imagine. People in the raw moment say some crazy stuff, and then you just got these people after it has already settled for a while that just don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
But there are two things that bother me about this shooting that haven't come to light that are just doesn't make any sense. The bullet matching the gun, 101. How has that not happened? How is there no bullet that matches the gun? Like, give me a break. Every shooting in history that I've seen that has been of magnitude has always had a bullet that matches the gun. And then and then setting your gun down in the woods and sitting in your car to say, oh, I'm just waiting to pick up the gun that I set down. Why wouldn't you even just bring it with you to the car? Like, what do you mean? You set it down and now in broad daylight, you're going to go back and grab it and go back to the car? That doesn't make any sense. Like, that sounds so much like someone just setting it there and wanting someone to find it, to match it to him.
Well, exactly. And it goes to what I was suggesting with Ken, that there's all this potentially planted evidence around. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, you're right. It seems like the most basic form of criminal investigation first of all, they say the bullet stayed in his body. You raise good points there, James. There's so much about this that doesn't make any sense, They're telling us on the one hand that Charlie Kirk has a spine of steel that can stop a hunting round that every single hunting channel that I've looked at on YouTube is like decimating cow femurs with this thing and, blowing. Some guy had pork shoulder strapped to a steel plate, strapped to a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola, and it exploded the whole mess. So the notion that you would have the bullet stopped by his spine is crazy. And at the same time, they haven't presented the bullet to match it to the gun. Ken, I agree with you. We need to wait for the trial. But, just even in my own personal experience in U.S. District Court on civil matters, I've seen judges do so many things. I go in there saying, well, the law is this. The facts are this. I've got it all laid out. There's a slam dunk. There's no way. And they seem to always have a way to make it go the way they want, don't they?
Oh, yeah, we've seen that in many cases. One of the most notorious ones is the Whitner kidnap case, where the FBI was allowed to play the recordings of the FBI informants who were egging on the defendants to kidnap the governor, but the defense wasn't allowed to play other excerpts of the recordings that could have exonerated them. It was total one-sided justice. And to your point, we shouldn't be jumping to conclusions, but that we should certainly be asking questions. And it's also troubling that a judge has issued a gag order on the lawyers, which, at first I've seen actually some people defend this, but, with all the publicity that the FBI and the Trump administration has put on this case, it seems a little ridiculous that the defense lawyers are now not allowed to speak at all and kind of counter that. I don't know. This seems to be a recent development in decades, because if you read about some of the most notorious cases of the 20th century, the defense lawyers did try to fight these cases through, the battle of public opinion. Like, that is a legitimate tactic. And also, it should be their First Amendment right. So very troubling that we have this pretty oppressive gag order, in my opinion.
For real,
Yeah.
because it's like the third try. We're right. The FBI gets it wrong twice, but believe us, the third time we got it right. Like,
Good point.
We're not
Good
supposed
point.
to question that. Like, come on.
No, you're right. And I mean, I think what Ken is referring to, James, is this concept of prior restraint. We'll see if any of these lawyers push back on this gag order. There was a lot of sort of rumors flying around X yesterday. I think Candace Owens said, first of all, she's advising people that either she is going to or other people should defy the gag order. I'm not a lawyer. I can't give people legal advice. I don't think it's a good idea to defy the orders of district court judges. But was Candace Owens affected by this gag order, Ken? Do we know? Or is that just she's making hay?
Are you trying to get me in trouble again talking crap about Candace?
No.
The YouTube comments on our last show. I think your viewers probably know I'm not a fan. I think she puts a lot of disinformation out there. And this gag order is just the latest example of that, where she promised that, I'm going to break the gag order and, crack this case wide open. Well, she's not subject to the gag order. The gag order applies to the lawyers and declared witnesses that are going to be used. I think people have even misinterpreted it to say it covers all 3,000 people that were there, but no, that's only people who are going to actually be used as witnesses in the case, from my understanding. And I did retweet somebody who pulled the original gag order, so it is on my timeline.
It does say something about future names as well, and it says and future names not presented yet.
Huh.
Yes, and the lawyers at Tyler Robinson's preliminary hearing, the lawyers raised concerns about that, and I think the prosecution responded that, well, of course, or the judge said something like, yes, that you have to be actually brought into the case before. I'm pretty sure the judge clarified that.
Isn't it also true, Ken, that if a gag order is overbroad like that, if they said 3,000 people who were there aren't allowed to say anything, that in and of itself is grounds for overturning the thing. It's got to be narrowly defined.
Yeah, and the only way to enforce it would be to enforce it, to actually arrest somebody who is speaking about it, arrest somebody like James, and then it would be like a national story, you'd have the Streisand effect where now everybody's asking why this gag order is in place. So I don't think the government officials would be dumb enough to do that. But it is concerning. I don't think the gag order is proper. I think the defense attorneys should be challenging it. Unfortunately, it's just in the news now, and it was issued in late September, so it doesn't look like the
Wow.
defense lawyers have any issue with it. So it's troubling, and it kind of raises questions about the tactics of the defense team. What
And our
what are
stupid
what are they
governor in
actually doing for
Utah
their
is,
client?
sorry,
No,
the
go ahead,
Go
governor
ahead,
in
James.
Jim.
Utah is all about it. He was up there being so proud about this order being in place and was
Really?
defending it. It was Governor Cox. I did
Now,
not like him.
do you live in Utah, James?
Yep.
And so, what's the temperament like there with regard to the whole Charlie Kirk shooting in this trial?
The energy when it comes to Charlie Kirk is huge in Utah. When it for me personally, a lot of things have changed as far as seeing that 15 feet away. Like my life is not the. I mean, even though I've gone to counseling, I don't feel right. I don't feel the same. I don't
Traumatized?
just like I don't ever go anywhere without my gun anymore. I've never I used to do that, but now I don't. I mean, I got my concealer's permit. It's like you you don't believe what someone's saying, speaking words, and now you're going to get shot. Like, come on. So they're I don't even like calling them Democrats because Democrats haven't been Democrats since Bill Clinton. Like, whatever they are now is just almost this like radical left group that I don't even like calling Democrats because I actually used to be a Democrat and way back. And I don't recognize them like they used to be back then. So many things that are happening now are things that they were for that they're against now. Just doesn't make any sense. But I'd like to talk about the setting of going in and what happened with what I saw with the shooting.
Yeah, please.
I haven't. Oh, sorry. I haven't really talked about that publicly.
Now, obviously, I would assume you've never seen someone murdered in front of your face before, right? I mean, it's got to be very traumatic.
Yeah, well, I didn't even think it was real when I saw it. It was the first time I ever experienced anything in slow motion. Because when I saw replays of it, it was really fast when he went down, but not for what I saw.
And if I may, not to speak for your friend, but what you're talking about, this kind of traumatic event, I think a lot of people don't know how they would react, and it might not be any kind of normal reaction. Now that I've spoken to you and heard from Ken, I feel bad for this guy because, who knows how you react in that kind of traumatic situation. And, he did something that he now regrets, but I don't think he deserves to be mauled in the press and pursued in public. So you see this horrible thing happen. Let me play a little bit of this video that you've sent us. We'll go into the full video when we get to our sponsor exclusive segment. People can be able to join us on Substack.com/@KenSilva, right? Ken, that's yours?
That's right.
And also on the Crowdsource the Truth channels. But you were recording on a Samsung phone at 8K, and you've sent us this footage. You're also going to release it on your X account. People can follow you at Mr. McGraw, but take us through what was happening there that day.
So he was right at the time when the shooting was about to happen. It was during transgenders being allowed to have guns. And so right after he says his comment about it, which isn't coming to mind exactly. I remember, but I can't. My head's not there. right after he says that and gets shot, the first thing that I saw that I couldn't make sense of was two on the opposite side of where the blood was coming out of. There was two patches of red, like with like tissue, like dark red, right on the opposite side on his chest.
Body tissue, you mean, not Kleenex?
Yeah. Like it didn't make sense to me. It was thick and it wasn't runny, but I mean, obviously it could have been because it was so fast, but for me, it was like I'm just staring at this going, what just happened? Because I thought it was a firework.
Like
It
almost
sounded
like a
like a
car
firework.
accident where you experience it sort of in slow motion, right?
Right. So in the corner of my eye, I'm seeing that, and I see these two patches, and I'm like, what is that? I couldn't make sense of it. And I haven't heard anybody talk about that because they were just boom, they're there with this happening at the same time.
Let me pause you for a second, James, because I want to go into all of this, but I think it's going to be better. We want to look at some footage and things like that, and I've got some exclusive footage that nobody's ever seen before from something that Ryne gave me, but I want to do that in the sponsor exclusive segment so we're not in danger of getting dinged from all these things that get you kicked off of social media. So let's just take a break for a moment, and we'll be back in just a second. Sponsors are going to be able to join us. We're going to go into detail here with James about his experience as an eyewitness at the shooting. We're going to look at his 8K footage. We're going to look at something that has just been pointed out in the footage that Ryne sent to me. Hopefully Ryne will join us, and we will be right back. Stay with us, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.